There have been countless traps designed to stop feral hogs, but which one truly works best? Across America, these animals cause billions of dollars in damage each year, tearing through crops, pastures, and fences with relentless force. Farmers have tried pits dug deep into the earth, steel cages, nets, even artificial intelligence. Some methods promise quick results but fail after a single attempt, while others require weeks of patience yet capture entire herds in one night. In this journey, Tech Motion takes you inside the real battle against feral hogs, where tradition meets technology, and where one small mistake can mean the difference between success and disaster. What you're about to see may surprise you. At first glance, the damage left behind by feral hogs may look almost unbelievable. A farmer walks his field at dawn expecting to see neat rows of corn or soybeans, but instead, the land resembles a war zone. Deep craters scar the soil, irrigation lines lie torn apart, and carefully planted crops have vanished in a single night. The reason is not just numbers, it's biology. A small group of 10 hogs can swell to more than 300 in only 2 years. Unlike deer or cattle, these animals are opportunistic omnivores, eating everything from tender shoots to ground-nesting birds. But even more troubling is their intelligence. Researchers describe them as social learners. When one hog escapes a poorly set trap, the entire herd remembers and avoids it. Mothers even teach their young to recognize danger, passing down wariness like a family tradition. For rural communities, the pressure is crushing. Families invest thousands of dollars each season only to watch their work vanish overnight. Some try fencing, others rely on hunting, but hogs adapt with remarkable speed. One rancher put it plainly, "They don't just outnumber us, they outthink us." This is why the struggle has become so desperate. Farmers and landowners across America have turned to every method imaginable, from ancient tricks passed down for centuries to cutting-edge technology costing tens of thousands of dollars. And to understand this modern battle, we must first return to the very beginning, when humanity's earliest answer to the wild hog was nothing more than a hole in the ground. In the earliest days, before steel or sensors, people turned to the only weapons they had: muscle, patience, and ingenuity. Primitive traps were born out of necessity, and though simple, they carried both the cleverness and the sweat of those who built them. 1. Pit traps, the oldest weapon. Building a pit trap was no small task. Farmers would dig into the earth at least 4 feet deep and 6 feet wide, large enough for a grown man to stand inside. The walls were carved at a 15-degree angle, smooth enough to keep a hog from climbing out. Finally, the pit was concealed with branches, leaves, and loose soil, creating the illusion of solid ground. Advantages: cost almost nothing but labor. Anyone with a shovel could build one, anywhere there was soil. Disadvantages: the return was small. A single pit captured only one hog, while the rest of the herd roamed free. Common mistakes: digging in the wrong place, where few tracks or droppings showed hog activity, meant hours of labor wasted. Poor camouflage was another downfall. If the cover looked unnatural, the hogs simply avoided it. Many farmers described pit traps as a gamble with the earth itself. A full day of digging could pay off, or it could leave nothing but an empty hole. 2. Snare loops, the hunter's rope. In contrast, snare traps were lightweight and portable. A loop of strong wire, 9 to 12 inches in diameter, was hung about 10 inches above the ground, right at chest level for smaller hogs. When an animal passed through, the loop tightened around its neck or leg. Advantages: cheap, easy to set, and quick to deploy. Multiple snares could be placed along hog trails in minutes. Disadvantages: often caught only juveniles or stragglers. Worse still, snares sometimes trapped unintended animals like deer fawns or coyotes. Common mistakes: setting the loop too high or too low, leaving it ineffective. Choosing an inactive trail meant the snares could sit untouched for weeks. Both pit traps and snares reveal the resourcefulness of early farmers, but also their limitations. They worked against lone wanderers, But when entire herds of 20 or 30 arrived together, these primitive methods were powerless. And that is when people turned to sturdier solutions, steel cages, and spring-loaded gates designed to hold what human hands and shovels could not. As feral hog populations grew and primitive methods fell short, farmers turned to steel and engineering for answers. The hope was simple. If a pit could not hold them, perhaps a cage could. One tool: steel cage traps, strong but limited. The most common solution was the steel cage trap, built with heavy bars and a spring-loaded door that slammed shut when triggered. Bait, usually corn, was placed inside, drawing in curious hogs. Advantages: durable, reusable, and straightforward to operate. Once set, a farmer could leave it overnight with a fair chance of catching something. Strong disadvantages: typically captured only 1 or 2 hogs at a time. The real problem came after the first catch. The rest of the herd learned to avoid it. Feral hogs are quick learners, and a single failed attempt could make an entire herd suspicious for months. Common mistakes: setting cages too close to homes or machinery, where hogs were already cautious, using too little bait, or placing it too close to the door lured in only the smallest animals. In practice, these traps often became expensive feed boxes for raccoons, deer, or a single unlucky hog, while the herd slipped away. 2. Drop gate traps. High-tech, high-risk. Seeking larger results, some landowners invested in automated drop gate systems, costing between $10,000 and $15,000. These used cameras and remote sensors, allowing a farmer to drop a guillotine-style gate when enough hogs were inside. Advantages: if timed correctly, an entire herd, sometimes 20 or more, could be captured in a single event. Disadvantages: high cost, mechanical complexity, and heavy reliance on technology. One broken sensor or jammed gate could ruin the operation. Common mistakes: closing the gate too soon before the lead sow entered. When that happened, the rest of the herd learned to stay away. Another frequent error was neglecting to clean away blood or hair after a capture, which warned other hogs of danger. For many farmers, these modern marvels promised salvation but delivered frustration. Steel and sensors could outmuscle a few hogs, but not outthink an entire herd. And in this moment of disappointment, salvation came from an unlikely source. Not a machine worth thousands, but a net trap costing only $200. Which region are you watching this video from? Drop your location in the comments below. We'd love to know where our Tech Motion community is tuning in from today. At first glance, the Pig Brig trap doesn't look like much. No steel bars, no gates, no electronics. Just a circle of netting staked into the ground. Yet in practice, this $200 invention has outperformed systems costing 50 times as much. Construction and principle: the Pig Brig is essentially a collapsible net corral, set up in less than an hour. Unlike cage traps, it has no rigid door. Hogs push their way in easily, following the lure of corn spread inside. Once inside, they rarely find the exit. The flexible net closes behind them, holding the entire group. Advantages: affordable. At around $200, it's within reach of small-scale farmers. Lightweight, can be carried and assembled by a single person in under an hour. Effective, capable of capturing 30 to 45 hogs at once, something no cage or gate system could reliably achieve. Disadvantages: requires patience. Hogs must first be conditioned to enter and feed inside the corral before the net is fully deployed. Less effective if rushed or placed in poor locations. Common mistakes: skipping the conditioning phase, dropping the net too soon teaches hogs to avoid it forever. Choosing sites without clear hog activity, no rooting, no tracks, no droppings. Baiting incorrectly, too little corn, or scattering only at the edges keeps hogs outside the trap. One Texas rancher, Tom Rodriguez, followed the Pig Brig method carefully. After 2 weeks of conditioning, he deployed the net. In a single night, it held 32 hogs, including 11 pregnant sows. That capture prevented hundreds of future animals from being born, saving both his crops and his neighbor's land. For many, the Pig Brig represents a shift in philosophy. Instead of fighting hogs with brute strength or high technology, it succeeds by using the animal's own instincts against them. But while nets proved effective in open fields, some farmers faced challenges too large for nets or cages. In Brazil, one man took a different approach, digging trenches like a medieval fortress. In Brazil, when steel cages and net traps were impossible to build, one man turned to the oldest tool of all, a shovel. His name was João Ferreira, a farmer on the brink of losing everything. Bankruptcy loomed, his fields lay in ruins, and his only option was to dig. Construction and design. What João created was nothing less than a medieval-style barrier, a trench 1.5 meters deep and 1 meter wide, with walls cut at a steep 90-degree angle. Unlike a pit trap, this trench wasn't designed to capture, it was designed to block. Once complete, it formed a continuous wall of earth around his most vulnerable fields. Advantages: completely prevents herds from entering once established. Range provides long-term protection with little ongoing maintenance. Disadvantages: extremely labor-intensive to dig, especially without machinery, expensive and impractical for very large areas. Dangerous in heavy rains. Trenches could collapse, flood, or become breeding grounds for mosquitoes. Common mistakes: digging in swampy or unstable soil, leading to collapses. Failing to build drainage, turning trenches into stagnant pools. Making trenches too shallow, which strong hogs could climb across. Results and impact. For João, the gamble paid off. Within 2 weeks, hog damage dropped by 85%. Within a month, his losses fell to zero. Neighbors soon followed his example, and what began as one man's desperate measure grew into a community movement known as the Trincheira Revolution. This wasn't just a physical barrier, it became a symbol of resilience, proving that determination and cooperation could succeed where expensive technology had failed. But as the world entered the 21st century, the battle against feral hogs shifted again. This time, it wasn't muscle or steel that made the difference, it was artificial intelligence. As the feral hog crisis deepened, technology moved beyond nets and steel. The latest weapon in this battle combines artificial intelligence with remote-controlled traps, systems that allow farmers to monitor herds in real time and spring the gate with a single command. How it works: each trap is fitted with a high-definition camera, motion sensors, and a reinforced drop-gate door. From a smartphone or laptop, farmers watch live video feeds as hogs enter. The AI software analyzes the footage, confirming that the entire herd, not just a few stragglers, is inside. With one tap, the farmer remotely triggers the gate, dropping it with precision timing. Advantages: whole herd capture. Unlike old steel cages, these systems can catch 20 to 40 hogs in one event if the timing is right. Remote control. Farmers no longer need to sit in the field. They can manage traps from miles away. AI verification. Software reduces human error by distinguishing hogs from deer or livestock before the trap is closed. Disadvantages: high cost. Each system can run between $10,000, making it prohibitive for many small farms. Technical fragility. Cameras, sensors, and gates require constant maintenance. A weak internet connection or mechanical jam can render the trap useless. Common mistakes: triggering the gate too early, before the lead sow enters, causes the rest of the herd to scatter and learn avoidance. Failing to clean traps after a capture leaves behind blood or hair, warning other hogs to stay away. Case study: precision in Texas. In southern Texas, one rancher installed a network of these smart traps across his property. Guided by AI analysis, he waited until the entire herd of 27 hogs had gathered inside the pen. From 15 miles away, he pressed a button on his phone. The gate slammed shut, capturing them all in seconds. For the first time, farmers gained something rare in this battle: control and timing on their terms. But such victories come at a steep price, both in dollars and in technical demands. And yet, even when hogs are successfully trapped, one more question remains: what should be done with the carcasses afterward? If you found this video fascinating and worth watching, comment 1 below. If not, be honest, comment 0. The moment the gate falls and the herd is finally captured, many might think the struggle is over, but in truth, a new challenge begins: what to do with the bodies left behind. Improper disposal can undo all the progress, turning victory into a new source of risk. In most rural communities, the traditional answer is burial. Carcasses are laid into deep trenches, at least 3 feet underground, so that disease cannot spread through soil or water. Others choose to burn or compost them, methods that demand labor but ensure that no trace of the animal remains to attract scavengers. Some families, especially in the South, will keep part of the meat for their own use. It is legal in many states, but experts warn that it must be handled carefully. Only by cooking it to at least 160 degrees Fahrenheit can the threat of parasites or infections be eliminated. Without this step, what was once a pest in the field could become a danger in the kitchen. The mistake, time and again, is leaving the carcasses exposed. A dead hog lying in the open draws coyotes, vultures, even feral dogs. The stench spreads for miles, and the risk of disease lingers. Farmers who fought so hard to defend their land may find themselves battling a new wave of problems if they fail to act quickly. The lesson is clear: catching the hog is only half the work. The true measure of success comes in what follows: the discipline to handle the aftermath with as much care as the capture itself. And with every method examined, from pits and snares to AI-controlled gates, we return to the larger question: what do these struggles really teach us about ingenuity, persistence, and legacy? Through every pit dug, every net raised, and every gate triggered, one truth remains clear. The real battle is not against the wild hogs alone, but against the limits of our own endurance. But the story doesn't end here. What happens when the hunt itself becomes part of survival, and the hogs are not only trapped, but processed on an industrial scale? Discover the untold reality in wild boar hunting. How farmers trap and process millions of wild hogs. Wildlife documentary. Tap the video on your screen or check the link in the description to watch now.